Thank you so much for joining me, Citlalli from Mexico. It's really nice to have you. I'm Samantha Hugh, the founder of ADHD Girls. I'm a communications consultant who has created a social media campaign, Conversations with Women with ADHD, to improve the awareness around the condition and destigmatize ADHD as well, especially in women. So I know that you've been working in your own space to improve awareness in your country, within your community, and you're doing such a great job. I saw that your following is growing so much. How do you feel about it?
I am impressed that there's so many people that needed that space in Spanish, and I feel overwhelmed because I get message of people saying that they felt misunderstood or things like that, and it's exactly how I felt before, and I just feel so happy that I can help a little bit.
Yeah. And can you tell everyone where you're from, the city that you are at the moment, and how old you were when you were diagnosed with ADHD?
Yeah, I am from Mexico, and I was diagnosed at 18 years old. Um, and what was the other question?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. That happens to me all the time. It's an ADHD thing where you like trying to answer the questions and then you forget the questions, right? Uh, so I was asking you how old you were when you were diagnosed, which you had already answered actually. So you have done it all. So I
Oh,
know that you told me that you mentioned you were diagnosed after your brother received an autism diagnosis. So
yeah.
how was that like for you? How did they figure out that you have ADHD?
Well, my brother was going with this psychiatrist, which was a psychiatrist specialized in kids and teenagers. So I went because she suggested like a family group a session. After that, I felt maybe I should go myself too because I had some issues, like a lot of anxiety and things like that. And I said, well, I think I need help. So I went, and she diagnosed me with ADHD. So, but if my brother hadn't been diagnosed, or like because his autism symptoms were really showing, I don't think I would have been diagnosed myself until later in
Yeah,
life.
but it's amazing that the psychiatrist managed to see the ADHD in you, right? Did you think that that was something unusual in your community, especially as if you didn't have the awareness of going to the psychiatrist, they wouldn't have found you, right? They wouldn't have found you within the school or university, right?
Yeah, there's like I remember when I was in first grade of um, elementary school, like my ADHD symptoms were so uh, clear. Like it was so clear I had ADHD, but nobody realized. Like I nobody knew. Nobody, like teachers were not, and even today, like they're not. They don't know about ADHD, especially in girls, because in boys it's like, yeah, there's this stereotype, like they're so hyperactive and things like that. But in girls it's different, and it was so obvious, but nobody knew.
Yeah. So did you have combined ADHD where it was the more obvious type of ADHD? Because
Yeah, like inattentive
all right.
ADHD,
All right. So you have
definitely.
inattentive ADHD that was
Yeah,
pretty.
I yeah, yeah, it's inattentive type. Like I think my hyperactivity it's like mental, because I'm not like, all over the place, but my mind is just, it just doesn't stop, you know. But yeah, I'm not, I'm more inattentive type.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, can you tell me what was your life like growing up in your family whilst you live with undiagnosed ADHD?
it was really hard, especially when I started elementary school, because obviously the level increased from kindergarten to elementary. And eh, like teachers used to tell me, you're so distracted, you're so lazy, you don't pay attention, you don't finish works in time. And I was like 6 years old, and I felt horrible. And my family, yeah, and my family were like, you have to pay more attention. And i I was just like pointed fingers. They were like pointing fingers at me, but I didn't receive any kind of help, or hey, maybe there's something going on with this kid. But no, it was incredibly hard, and I learned to live like that. And well, maybe I am lazy. Well, maybe I am distracted, and it seems like I cannot do anything about it, because when I tried to be like everybody else, like it would work for maybe 2 days, and then I would go back to being lazy and distracted. um, and it was just like this cycle that I couldn't escape. And well, maybe this is the way I am, and I cannot change anything. And it was like this guilt and this, I don't know, like a lot of confusion. And yeah, it was so hard, so hard.
Yeah. And how has growing up with this kind of messaging, about yourself affected you?
Like it's today that I know more about ADHD. It's been like knowing myself, and it's been like freeing, because I it's so many years, not understanding myself, and like feeling like an alien. Uh, right now, it's been hard because of everything that I went through, but at the same time, I am learning to letting go of all those bad experiences and using them to raise awareness. But right now I'm in the process of healing and growing.
Yeah. And are you in university right now? How old are you again?
24.
Oh, right. And you are in university? What are you studying?
Communications.
Oh, serious? That is my background. I didn't even know there's a degree for it. No. So, is it
Yeah.
communications, or did you have a specific area of interest or the industry that you might want to go in?
Well, I am a little bit like, I don't know what to do right now, because I like radio,
Mhm.
but like I am a little bit lost because I don't really know where I want to go, because there's so many options. Like, what am I good for, and where am I gonna last? Like, am I gonna lose interest in this thing? Like, maybe I am really interested in radio right now. Maybe in a couple of months I'm gonna be, oh my god, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. It's so boring. So I don't know. I don't know. Right now I'm really concentrated in the ADHD page that I manage, and of course using my knowledge from the university and my career, I put it there. So I don't know. Who knows what I'm gonna do exactly?
Well, I think you're doing a great job, and as with all of us with ADHD, we tend to follow our interest. So if you want to do that thing, I would say just go and do it. And like you say, if it's a real, genuine interest, it can live on. And if it was like a spur of a moment thing, it won't, right? It's quite simple like that. Also,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how is ADHD viewed in Mexico and around your community?
Well, it's mostly unknown. Uh, it's like it here is the stereotype of little boys. Like it's a little boy's disease. And that there's this like a lot of misinformation. Things like you will grow out of it. You just need to concentrate. Like I recently learned that in the US there's laws that help people with ADHD in school and in works. Like they have accommodations, and in Mexico there's no law like that. There's nothing like that. And if you have ADHD, you maybe go talk to teachers and ask for help. But if they don't want to give it to you, they're not the school won't do anything, to help you. It's really, we're so far behind other countries when it comes to mental health. It's so sad and worrying, and that's why a lot of young people like me uh, and others, we're trying to change that and to, raise awareness, because not only we need it, but a lot of people need it, and a lot of new generations will need it. So it's a lot of work to do actually.
Mhm. Yeah, and after you've been diagnosed with ADHD, what are the psychiatrist's recommendation for you to manage your symptoms? Is it medication or is it other things?
Yeah, she put me on Ritalin,
Okay.
uh, and she suggested therapy. But the therapist I went to, she wasn't specialized in ADHD. It wasn't until recently that I discovered that there were therapists that specialized in ADHD, because she didn't really help much. Everything that she advised, it just wasn't working for me at all. Um, so yeah, that's what I want to do now. Actually go to a therapist that specializes in ADHD. But again, like in Mexico, there's like so few, and so it's like there's just not much to go.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel that the medication helped you?
Well, yeah, actually, I was so like I could do everything that I put in my mind, and so fast. Like, I was painting my room, and I painted my room like in 2 days, and so fast. And I'm just so amazed, because I repainted my room later when I stopped taking the medication because I couldn't afford it anymore. And I think it was 2 weeks painting my room, like so slow. And so yeah, I noticed, like the difference when
Mm.
taking medication and when I'm not taking medication.
And are
It's
you able to
so
continue on with the medication? And with the medication, is it private? So you would have to fork out from your own pocket to buy it? Or is there any support?
in like we have like public healthcare, and you can go there, but the medication they have, it's like this slow, I don't know how to say it, but it's like a slow release.
Yes,
Like
that's right.
you take it, okay, yeah, it's like that. um and I want to go to but there's just like Ritalin. That's the only thing they give.
Okay.
There's not like, if you are not, if your body is not comfortable with the pill, you cannot ask for a change, because that's the only one they have.
Wow. And are you able to continue taking it?
Well, I hope so. Like I have to go,
Mhm.
like that's in my plans, to
Mm.
go to the public healthcare and start taking that pill. But I don't know how I my body will react or something like that. So I know that when you go to a psychiatrist, like out of your own pocket,
Mm.
you can ask for, maybe let's change this pill, or let's change like a combination or some, things like that. But I am not able to afford that right now.
Right.
But so yeah, it's it's
Right.
it's a
So,
trick. It's a little bit tricky.
right. So you were saying that when you started the medication, you weren't able to continue it because, it had to be paid out of your own pocket. So
Yeah,
right now you're in the process of going back to the public health care to get it from the public health system.
exactly. Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. And is it easy for someone to get it through the public health system?
Well, if like they have this psychiatrist, and if the psychiatrist says, you know what, you don't have anything, you're done. Like, yeah, there's not much you can do, because since it's free,
Mhm.
we cannot really say anything, because they have this mentality. Well, we're giving it to you for free. What else do you want? It's
Right.
kind of difficult. Yeah,
Right. So you're saying that they'll give it to you in the doses that they thought would work for you, and if it doesn't, then you can't do anything about it.
exactly.
Wow.
Maybe I can say, maybe, like, yeah, like maybe, okay, take half a pill, or take a little bit less, but they cannot change the medication, because there's just no other that they manage to give you for free. you
Gosh,
know.
that is the first time I've heard of it. Because like over here in the UK, they have this thing before you even start that is called medication titration, where they figure out the dose that works for you. So they normally start someone on a low dose first and then gradually increase and then see what works for them. And if it doesn't work, then there are other medication to, put the patient on, because like Ritalin does work for some people, but not all. And like you say, there's the slow release one, which is that one type for you, isn't it? But then you might want some other type that works better for your body. So yeah,
Yeah.
gosh, that's really tough, isn't it? So would you
Yeah.
say that like a proper medication plan will only be available to someone who can pay it privately?
Exactly.
Like,
Mental health is a privilege right here in Mexico.
yeah,
Yeah.
as it is in Asia, I think, where I come from, I do think that because there is not enough awareness, and you basically don't even think you have mental health. I mean, it's not even a mental health issue. This is a neurodevelopmental issue, isn't it? It's physiological. It's something that happens in your brain, right? So it is something that should, give you the right to access help for it. Gosh.
Yeah. It's like if you saw somebody on the street bleeding, you wouldn't leave him there. But with mental health, since it's difficult to see, there's not much support from government.
Yeah, that's right. It's an invisible issue, isn't it? And there's so much stigma that, oh, ADHD only exists in, countries where there are white boys, right? But,
Yeah.
it is a genetic condition, and in some, it's trauma from birth, or, there's a lot of issues that can cause ADHD, and, it needs to be more recognized. And the work that you've been doing as well, spreading awareness for ADHD in women, it's really valuable. How are you getting on with it? Are you having lots of collaborations or partnerships?
Well, I a little bit, yeah. I am doing a lot of research, and mostly because everything's in English, I have to translate, and because in Spanish there's like a lot of the information is about ADHD in kids, but nothing about adults, and especially in women. It's like there's nothing. Everything's in English, so we really have to change that because it's like, yeah, like this ADHD, it's only a kid's trouble, and but, yeah, I'm really happy with the progress that I'm making. You know, everything. I think everything helps, even if it reaches, or however people it reaches. Uh, a post or anything. I think it will help somebody, and it will start to change things little by little.
That's right. I'm really curious about, say what your advice would be for someone, a girl or women who has ADHD, who might be currently undiagnosed. And if they want to go and get themselves diagnosed, what is your advice for them? How would they navigate the patient journey? Would they have to, go straight to the psychiatrist or the health system? Can you explain?
Well, I would advise that if you have the money, go to a psychiatrist, because and if that psychiatrist doesn't understand you or something like that, it's okay to go to another, and try to have the best uh, care possible. Um, and when you are diagnosed, take your time, like because when you're diagnosed, you're like, ADHD, what's that? Or like, what exactly is this? Like, when I was diagnosed and I started to learn about ADHD, it was like, so a lot of the things I do are because of ADHD. So then who am I? Like, am I ADHD? Or like, am I me? Or like, it was so confusing. So just, I think with time, and also maybe something that could help at the beginning is reaching to other people with ADHD, and surround yourself with people that can understand you, because sometimes people that do not have ADHD, it's hard for them to understand and to maybe help you with some things. So yeah, I think that would be my advice. You take it with time and with patience.
Mhm.
And I know it can be overwhelming to have a diagnosis and to start to learn about yourself, but time really helps, and do your own research, learn about ADHD and what works for you.
Sure. And I know your page is in Spanish. I was just wondering, would you like to say all that you said just now in Spanish again? Because
Sure.
potentially that would relate more to your audience, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, decía que cuando te diagnostican TDA, es mejor rodearte de personas que también tengan TDA y tomarlo con mucha paciencia. También, si tu diagnóstico o tu psiquiatra no estás convencido con lo que te dice, está bien buscar a alguien más porque mereces tener el mejor cuidado posible. Y no, eso es todo.
I love that. I love that. It's such a beautiful language. And you speak so like
Thank you.
sing-songy, so melodic. It's beautiful. Um,
Thank you.
I actually have one more question for you, but this is more of like a high level policy level, just because, the work that you do now is starting, in social media, and once you become like someone who has all this experience in communication, if you have like exposure to the radio, to the TV, if you have the chance to talk to someone who has the power to influence the ADHD, healthcare policy, what would you say to them?
Oh my God. If I had that chance, if
Imagine
I had,
in an ideal world, what would you say?
definitely make a law that protects us. We need something written and in the law that helps us navigate through school and through work. That's what we need. We need not only awareness and not only uh, empathy, but also something that can protect us, like a law in Mexico and in Latin America. Uh, that's what I would try to change the most. Change the law and make us part of that we need accommodations by law.
That's amazing. You know what? Once you say it now, you never know. In a few years, you might be in the position to do that.
I hope so.
Well,
I hope I can change. I hope I can lead to see that, that to see that there's actually a law that helps us. That would be amazing.
Because I know over here in the UK, there are a few people who have already formed like a parliamentary group, talking about the laws that they can change about ADHD. So, if this is possible here, it should be possible in other countries as well. But you need to find your people and gain your momentum and, just work together, towards this
Exactly. Yeah.
goal. But yeah, thank you so much, Citlalli. Really nice to talk to you today. And thank you so much for accepting my invitation to connect.
Thank you so much for having me. You're so, like, I don't know. It was so easy to talk to you because you're like, I don't know. I think between ADHD people, it's so easy to talk. It's like, yeah, it was really nice for me to talk to you actually.